Welcome back to All Things Creepy. I'm your host, Micah James. Now, a few things before we get into this episode. My new microphone finally came in, so hopefully the audio quality will be more consistent for a long while. I will give a slight warning, though, that I do plan on having a few guests on my podcast, and those episodes might be a little bit different. Like the audio quality might be a little bit different, but like overall my audio quality will be more consistent. And secondly, this week it's tiers 4 through 6 of the Watchable disturbing movie iceberg chart. And because of that means that these movies are getting more disturbing and or more obscure. I just wanted to give that warning just in case you might be sensitive to some of the topics we are talking about. And the absolute last thing, very similar to last week's episode, or exactly the same from last week's episode, the user that is associated with this iceberg chart is no longer on Reddit, and if they are, this account is no longer on Reddit, so I can't give credit, nor was I able to confirm which movies this person was talking about in certain cases, so I either did not include them in this episode, or I just used my best guess as to which movie they were talking about. I just wanted to give that heads up just in case you guys go to look at the chart and I missed one, or you happen to disagree with my choice in which movie I decided to read the description of. And finally, the actual last thing about this is between these movies and the movies from last week, if you want me to watch any of them because you want me to spoil it for you or you want me to give my personal thoughts on them, I will be more than willing to do that. Just reach out to me on social media or my email, which will be in the show notes. Now, with that being said, let us dive into the deep waters. So for this episode, we are starting off on tier 4. The first one in tier 4 is Antichrist. Now, I used 2 different descriptions. The first description I chose was from 2009. A grieving couple retreat to their cabin in the woods, hoping to repair their broken hearts and troubled marriage, but nature takes its course and things go from bad to worse. The other Antichrist movie that I found that could potentially fit the disturbing umbrella was from 1974. A paralyzed young woman becomes possessed by the devil when a hypnosis session intended to heal her disability accidentally awakens memories of her past life as a witch. Next is Gummo. Lonely residents of a tornado-stricken Ohio town wander the deserted landscape trying to fulfill their boring, nihilistic lives. Next is Happiness. The lives of several individuals intertwine as they go about their lives in their unique ways, engaging in acts which society as a whole might find disturbing in a desperate search for human connection. Tetsuo the Iron Man. A businessman accidentally kills the metal fetishist who gets his revenge by slowly turning a man into a grotesque hybrid of flesh and rusty metal. This is one that I have seen already, and it is amazing. It's like if you enjoyed the movie The Fly, I feel like you would enjoy Tetsuo the Iron Man. It's very good, and if you're a fan of just body horror in general, it's terrific. Next is Audition. A widower has his film producer friend organize a fake audition as a means of helping him find a new girlfriend, but the woman he selects is not who she appears to be. This is another one that I have seen and will also recommend, but I will give you a little bit of a fair warning that it is a little bit of a slow burn. So if you're not a fan of slower movies, it might not be the one for you. Next is Life and Death of a Porno Gang. An aspiring filmmaker turns to porn after little success, then falls into a pursuit of crime with his band of misfits and suffer the repercussions of their unprecedented journey. Next is The Cremator. Set in Central Europe during World War II, a demented cremator believes cremation relieves earthly suffering and sets out to save the world. Number 8 in Tier 4 is The Piano Teacher. A young man romantically pursues his masochistic piano teacher. Singapore Sling. A man searching for his long-lost lover is kidnapped by her killers, an insane mother-daughter duo, and they force him to commit various sexual atrocities with them. Inside. Nemo, a high-end thief, is trapped in a New York penthouse after his heist doesn't go as planned. Locked inside with nothing but priceless works of art, he must use all his cunning and ingenuity to survive. The next one is The Seventh Continent. The daily routines of a seemingly ordinary Austrian family begin to take on a sinister complexion. The Vanishing. Rex and Saskia, a young couple in love, are on vacation. They stop at a busy service station and Saskia is abducted. After 3 years and no sign of Saskia, Rex begins receiving letters from the abductor. Who can kill a child? A couple of English tourists arrive on an island where all the children have gone crazy and are murdering adults. I actually did start watching this right before I started recording this episode, and so far it almost gives Children of the Corn vibes to a certain extent. I haven't finished watching it as of recording this episode, but by the time it's posted I might finish it, and if I am able to, I'll let you know if I recommend it. But so far, if you like Children of the Corn, this seems like it'd be a good fit. But again, I will post on Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky once I finish it if I truly recommend it. Next is Cannibal Holocaust. An anthropologist ventures into the Amazon rainforest on a rescue mission where he recovers footage shot by a film crew documenting their disastrous encounters with local cannibal tribes. This one is very controversial due to the court case surrounding it, and so I don't recommend this, but I also recommend this. It's that weird in between for me where I don't recommend it because there is very real animal abuse in this movie. So in that case, I do not recommend it. But I do recommend it in the sense that there is some special effects that were by today's standards are very cheesy, but for 70s standards are insane. There's this one scene where this woman is impaled by this big post, and how they were able to achieve that, especially for the 70s, is just insane. Next is Man Behind the Sun. Japanese troops round up Chinese and Russian prisoners of war and take them to Unit 731, where they're horribly tortured and experimented on to test new biological weapons. Next is The Human Centipede 2. Inspired by the fictional Dr. Heiter, disturbed loner Martin dreams of creating a 12-person centipede and sets out to realize his sick fantasy. Next is Shogun's Sadism. It's also called Shogun's Joy of Torture. 3 tales of punishment and torture set in Japan in the Middle Ages. Next one is Cargo 200. A young woman is taken hostage by a police officer gone mad. Next is Calvaire. Mark, a traveling entertainer, is on his way home for Christmas when his van breaks down in the middle of a jerkwater town with some strange inhabitants. Next is Philosophy of a Knife, a graphic docudrama detailing the history of Unit 731, where thousands of innocent Chinese prisoners of war were fatally experimented on. Now, I haven't watched this one or Man Behind the Sun, but I have done research on my own as well as listening to a bunch of podcasts about Unit 731, and I think it's a very interesting story, and I think learning about history in general is very important. So, but these experiments that they did on these POWs is very disturbing. So if you decide to go watch Philosophy and Knife or Man Behind the Sun, or just learn about Unit 731 overall, just go into it knowing that those experiments were crazy. Like it's very, very disturbing. Next is Viva la Muerte. During the Spanish Civil War, young Fando navigates his parents' clashing ideologies after his father's arrest. The movie explores his imagination, friendships, views on sex, and death amid family upheaval. He questions his mother and seeks his father's fate. Now, that description I know is a little clunky, but I had to put it through Google Translate because it was originally written in Spanish. So I hope that made sense. I know it was a little clunky. Next is Feed. A cybercrime investigator tracks a man suspected of force-feeding women to death. Next is Tiersch Lieb. It's also called Animal Love. In conurbations where hundreds of thousands live alongside one another in the era of highly technological society, in which communication has never played such a significant role, man has become lonely. Disappointed by his fellow human beings, he turns to animals. Dogs and other domestic animals serve as his companions, life partners, cuddly objects, and bedfellows. Dumplings. Aunt May's famous homemade dumplings provide amazing age-defying qualities popular with middle-aged women. But her latest customer, a fading actress, is determined to find out what the secret ingredient is. Next is Mai-chan's Daily Life, the movie. A sadistic place in a remote location put out a help wanted ad luring young teen girls to come work as a live-in maid only to control them for sexual abuse, torture, murder, and cannibalism. Zoo. A look at the life of an Enumclaw, Washington man who died as a result of an unusual encounter with the horse. I tried watching this one, but it's one of those movies where if you already know the story, actually seeing a documentary on it is chilling, and which I feel like might be a little bit of an understatement and is very disturbing. So, but I think the YouTuber Mr. GG ended up watching this. If I'm correct in that, I will link his video in the show notes as well in case you want to know more about that movie. So the last one, like I said, I am posting the chart in the show notes. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it does translate to Hunting Scenes from Bavaria. Abram returns to his small village, and although his repairing skills are needed, people's suspicion about his sexual preferences make his life hard. Alright, so tier 5. The first one is Come and See. After finding an old rifle, a young boy joins the Soviet resistance movement against ruthless German forces and experiences the horrors of World War II. Next is In a Glass Cage. A former Nazi child killer is confined in an iron lung inside an old mansion after a suicide attempt. His wife hires him a full-time carer, a mysterious young man who is driven slowly mad by the old man's disturbing past. Next is Salo, or 120 Days of Sodom. In World War II Italy, 4 fascist libertines round up 9 adolescent boys and girls and subject them to 120 days of torture. Next is Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Arriving in Chicago, Henry moves in with ex-con acquaintance Otis and starts schooling him in the ways of the serial killer. Fun fact, this one is based on a true story of 2 serial killers. Martyrs. A young woman's quest for revenge against the people who kidnapped and tormented her as a child leads to leads her and a friend who is also a victim of child abuse on a terrifying journey into a living hell of depravity. Next is Irreversible. Events over the course of one traumatic night in Paris unfold in reverse chronological order. I Stand Alone. A horse butcher's life and mind begin to break down as he lashes out against various factions of society while attempting to reconnect with his estranged daughter. The Art of Killing. An 80s throwback film about a TV personality with murderous tendencies. Next is Funny Games. Two violent young men take a mother, father, and son hostage in their vacation cabin and force them to play sadistic games with one another for their own amusement. Man Bites Dog. A film crew follows a ruthless thief and heartless killer as he goes about his daily routine, but complications set in when the film crew lose their objectivity and begin lending a hand. This is one that I've seen, and it's interesting, I will say. I almost feel like it is disturbing, don't get me wrong, but like I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to say it's like a fun watch because like I said, it is disturbing, but like compared to like a lot of these on the lower tiers, it is, I mean, as fun as you could get with a disturbing film, but it's definitely, it's a mockumentary style film, so it's, take that how you will. Subconscious Cruelty. An anthology of horror consisting of 4 segments all themed around gory subjects. Next is Guinea Pig Movies. Now, I don't have like a solid description for these as there's like 5 or 6 of these movies and they all have various descriptions. But basically what it boils down to is that this is a series of films about women who are abducted and tortured. I have never watched these, but I've done like enough, like, you know, looking into the movies, and I don't know if I could ever watch these just because it's like they just feel like torture for torture's sake, just from my looking into it. Next is Ebola Syndrome. A Chinese restaurant worker wanted for murder in Hong Kong contracts Ebola in South Africa, becomes immune to it, and unknowingly spreads the virus there, then comes back to Hong Kong and continues to infect people with it. Now, I haven't watched this one either, but I did more looking into it and watched the trailer and all of that. And the story itself kind of reminds me of this woman who I will cover in the next week or two called Typhoid Mary, where she was she's almost believed to be patient 0 for typhoid. Like she was also kind of immune to it and ended up spreading it to other people. So again, I'll go more into detail with her and like a few other people in general in the next episode or 2. Next is Kichiku. Not sure if I pronounced that right, but it's also known as the Demon. After a married man stops providing for his mistress, she abandons their 3 young children with him and his wrathful wife. Next is There Is a Secret in My Soup. 3 triad gangsters kidnap and brutally torture a woman for 1 month until she died. Then they dismember and cook the body, hiding the skull inside of the head of a giant-sized Hello Kitty doll. Grotesque. A gang of crazed punks break into a family's vacation home in the mountains and slaughters the entire family except for one daughter who gets away. Hole in My Heart. In a decrepit apartment, a young man watches his father and a friend shoot an amateur porn film. Issues of morality, reality TV, and friendship are explored. Next is Thanatomorphos. Again, not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. A Hellenic word referring to the visible sides of an organism's decomposition caused by death. One day, a young and beautiful girl wakes up and finds her flesh rotting. Next is Cannibal. An internet advertisement placed by a man with cannibalistic obsessions yields a willing victim to serve up his own flesh in this dramatic account of the crime that shocked the world. I've never watched this movie, but just based on this description, it sounds like it's based on I didn't look into the case itself, so I can't remember the names of either the victim or the person who put up the ad, but if I can find at least a YouTube video. I'll link it so you guys can hear the story, but it's a wild case. It really is. Very disturbing as well, and somewhat controversial. And again, if I can find a YouTube video that explains it, I'll link it so you guys will know what I'm talking about. Next is the bunny game. A prostitute looking for her next meal hitches a ride with a trucker that leaves her praying for her next breath. And the final one for Tier 5 is Dear Zachary, a letter to a son about his father. A filmmaker decides to memorialize a murdered friend with his friend's ex-girlfriend, announces she is expecting his son. Before we go into Tier 6, I will say, I don't want to spoil this one for you guys at all. All the ones I've seen, I don't inherently want to spoil it for you guys, but this one especially, it's a very sobering documentary, and I think it's very well worth the watch. And there's really not much I can say, but I think especially if you're really into documentaries, I think this is an important one to watch. Okay, so we are in the final tier. These are the most disturbing and or most obscure movies on the tier list. So this is like your final warning for the most disturbing ones on the list. So let's dive into it. The first one is Playground. It's the last day of school in a small town in Poland, and Gabrizia wants to tell her classmate that she loves him, but it will not end well. The embryo hunts in secret. A man keeps a young employee tied up in his small apartment and tortures her. She is undressed, subjected to various types of bondage, whipped and tortured with a razor blade. Tumbling Doll of Flesh. Kana tries to end her starring role in an abusive porno. For her, the end comes only after she's been reduced to a tumbling doll of flesh. Celluloid Nightmares. A female reporter researching underground sex films stumbles across a snuff film, and her further investigation causes the filmmakers to take action against her. Begotten. Presented in a surreal, gory, and entirely visual manner, Begotten tells the death of religion, the abuse of nature by man, and a nihilistic outlook on what life ultimately is. Black Metal Veins. A graphic docudrama detailing the hopeless lives of several young people addicted to heroin. This is the only one in this tier that I have actually seen, and I ended up looking into it because some scenes did feel very scripted. And to a certain extent, some documentaries will have somewhat scripted places, but like the way that it felt scripted, it just felt too fictional to be in a documentary. And I looked into it, and there's like definitely some fictionalization in the documentary, but for the most part, it's almost like 90% truthful. It's been a while since I've watched this, so like I'll have to like look in. Like, I'll have to, like, watch it again and, like, do more research into it. But I just wanted to, like, let you guys know that it's not... There is parts where it is dramatized for sure. Next is Fetus. Kevin's wife passed away while giving birth to their firstborn child. He cannot cope with the loss of family and becomes obsessed with making contact with her by any means possible. Red Room. 4 random people, including a married couple, volunteer to participate in a mysterious game for a chance to win 10 million yen. They have to take turns torturing their fellow players until one is left. Aftermath. A short film wherein a man working in a morgue mutilates and defiles one of the corpses. Angst. A troubled man gets released from prison and starts taking out his sadistic fantasies on an unexpected family living in a secluded house. Green Elephant. 2 Russian prisoners are abused mentally and physically. And finally, Vase de Noches. An allegoric man falls in love with his pig. Okay, so that was the completion of the Watchable Disturbing movie Iceberg. So as I said, the chart will be linked in the show notes, as well with the YouTube videos and all of that I mentioned earlier, if I can end up finding them. And again, I want to reiterate, if you want me to look into or watch any of these movies to spoil it for you guys, let me know which one you want me to do, and I will do that in a future video. As a general thing, if there is a specific topic you want me to cover or you want to be a guest on my podcast, again, please reach out to me. And yeah, so I will see you guys next week with my next topic. Be safe out there, guys.